Oh, we are live. Okay, I'm learning as we go here, everybody. So let me just double check that. Make sure. Make sure. Are we live? Are we? Yeah, we are. Yeah, we are. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 60-yard dash. My name is Jake. As you can see right now, I'm by myself. We will have Nick from Talk Interference Sports joining me very, very shortly. He has to get set up. Now, let me tell you, the state of our brand new show. Now, what does our show lineup consist of? We have baseball. Gavin and Nick did a great job last night. If you didn't see the windup, go watch it. They did a great job. Today, we have football. Tomorrow, we have our 2-hour wrestling special. Look how dirty my shirt is. I'm a mess today. I didn't have time to change. I don't care. We're doing this anyway. Thursday, we have hockey and basketball. Friday, we don't have anything because we don't like you that much. Saturday, we have Talk Interference Sports by themselves. I might jump in on that every now and again. Who knows? Sunday, we have Circus Monkey Sports. Every Sunday, Gavin's been killing it. We love him. That's our schedule. Most shows run 8 to 9. Basketball is 9 to 10 Eastern time. The weekends differ. Now, I told you from the beginning, this is... No, we have no sound? No sound? Can anybody hear me at all? Anybody hear me at all? I'm going to work on fixing that. Do we have any sound whatsoever? Can anybody hear me? I have 11 people watching. Can anybody hear me? Okay, we can barely hear me. Let's see. Let's see if I can fix that issue. Check. Okay. All right. Becca, can you hear me fully? Like, everybody can hear. Okay. Everybody can hear me but Gavin. We're blaming Gavin on this one, guys. We're moving on. He has his volume cranked, and he can still not hear me. Martin can hear me. Bryce can hear me. Becca can hear me. We have only one issue, and it is the circus monkey himself. Beautiful. All right. So, I'm glad I'm loud. It helps you guys be able to hear me. So, this is the football show, guys. We're going to dive right into it with football. Numero uno. Should the NFL season actually happen? Now, there's a lot to digest in that one. There's a lot going on in the world on if the NFL season should happen. Coronavirus is running rampant through baseball, and football is doing the exact same style with no bubble. The NBA is making it work. The NHL is making it work, and those bubbles are doing phenomenal. But the issue is when you're traveling, you can't necessarily keep everybody isolated. Sorry, had to think of the word. I'm gonna guess if you said no, then there's a good chance that you can hear me. Just saying. And you're an Eagles fan, man. Sorry, I don't know if I can take your opinion serious. I can't wait to get the backfire on that one. So, Gavin, if you want to jump on with me real quick until I get Nick, let me know. I can send you the link. I'm alone until Nick gets here. It's up to you. But the NFL season, I don't think it finishes. It's going to start no matter what. Nobody can tell me otherwise. At this point, they're already reported to camp. They're already going through all the testing. At no point is it not going to start. But they're not going to make it to the end. Baseball's already on the verge of shutting down. And it's only been, what, 2.5 weeks? They've had 4 teams. Oh, Gavin, good point. Very good point. Lots of false positives lately and no reports of players who are symptomatic. Very true. The question is, how do they fix that? Because if they can't fix it, then yes, 100%, the season doesn't happen. They have to be able to fix it. Martin, yes, it should. The bubble would be amazing for the NFL, but it's going to be hard with the league. I don't think a bubble can exist in football. Give me 1 second, guys. I am inviting Gavin so that I am not alone, because it's a lot harder to talk alone by myself. I like to talk. I like to scream at myself, but I also like to have somebody to run off of. Seahawks are going to win the Super Bowl if the full season goes. Not a chance. Seahawks are not winning the Super Bowl. They only have really like a mediocre offense. Their defense is still killer. But that's not the issue at hand. We're not talking about Super Bowl predictions right now. We're talking about the NFL season. We're talking about if it's going to happen, which we know they'll get at least 3, maybe 4 weeks in. I expect after the first week, something is going to happen. Week 1, 2 teams play, somebody's getting shut down. Any team around the league. Jolly AF jumping in late, but why is it going to take a high-profile player for the NFL to understand the severity of COVID? I have an answer for that. It's money. There's too much money in football. There's too much money in all sports. That's why all sports are trying to make it work. I need to move this so this is easier. Don't mind me, guys. I'm still working on a new setup here as we go live in a different style, I guess we could call this. You're with me. You're with me. All right, there we go. This is a lot easier. So it's going to take somebody like Patrick Mahomes, somebody like even J.J. Watt, Russell Wilson, any big-name quarterback to opt out before they find this as an issue. And we have Gavin jumping in right now.
What's going on, guys?
Welcome, Gavin. Sorry about that. We had a small miscommunication between me and Nick, so he is setting up right now as well.
No worries. Perfect timing. I just got done with my workout, so I just finishing up, turned on the show, and figured I'd harass you a little myself.
That sounds good. So what do you think about the NFL season?
So the NFL season, I think a lot of it, and I hate to say, as we talked a little bit about last night on the MLB show, is a lot of it's going to depend on how the MLB handles all this craziness, right? It's going to dictate the way things are handled going forward, because positives are going to happen outside of the bubble, like you were just mentioning. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. It's going to happen. It's how do we maneuver it, right? How do they handle it? How do they, seclude guys? How well are they? How quickly can they get to these tests? And unfortunately, like I mentioned in the comments, we've run into a lot of false positives. And so there's a lot of question marks around that. Now, baseball's starting to work their way through it. They've found a way to get the test results back even faster than they were. They're getting it in 24 hours instead of 48 hours. So it's going to be a lot of response time. How quickly can you get these things back? That is going to be the question. I think the season can happen. I think baseball's starting to get it under control. And as long as they continue down a path of showing how to do it, the NFL has an opportunity to get it done.
I fully agree, but we got Nick here now too. Beautiful. We have everybody.
What's up?
He needs a minute. That was quick. We tried. Give me one. I don't know really how to navigate StreamYard right now, so I'm learning on the fly.
I got most of it down if you need something.
Did that pop up on everybody else's
there you
screen?
go.
Beautiful. There we go. We got the show name at least. All right. This is a train wreck of a first show, and I love it.
The thing the viewers are keeping in mind, we mentioned it last night. This is our first week. We're the only page doing this where we have a dedicated show for each of the major sports every day of the week. And, You and I have done this a little bit before, but we haven't done it as a group. So, I appreciate we got a dozen people watching the show right now. We had over 300 people watch the show live last night. So I appreciate everybody jumping in. You growing with us. We'll get this all figured out. So, they get to be in on the ground level and watch us and help us figure out what we do.
Yeah, so, with everything, there's going to be growing pains. We can't deny that. I've been going live since I started the Game Changer 3 years ago. Gavin's been going live with the Game Changer and Circus Monkey for the last year. Nick's on Talk Interference. I think he's at 2 years. But we still don't know everything. And every time we try something new, there's a new challenge with it.
Absolutely.
So just bear with us, everybody. We love you. We appreciate your support. We love to hear from you. I should probably go back to the comments here. There we go. So Jolly AF over on Twitch, there are rapid tests being used, but do you think players are using COVID as an opt-out just because they can? Gavin, what do you think?
Well, of course, yeah, absolutely. There's going to be some players that use it as excuse, and there's going to be multiple different reasons of their excuses. There's some guys that just suck and aren't going to play anywhere, so they're going to use that as the opportunity to say, well, I'm just going to take the year off because of COVID. There's players who are legitimately concerned. They're using that as I don't want to necessarily call that an excuse if there's a legitimate concern. And then there's players that, maybe they're not 100% invested. Maybe they just see this as a chance to rest their bodies for a year, and they can then use this. Maybe they're not actually concerned about COVID, but they want that year off. I could have seen, if a couple of years ago when Gronk decided to take off, right, this would have been great for a guy like him because then he wouldn't have had to say, oh, I'm tired. Oh, I'm mentally exhausted. Oh, anything like that. He could have just blamed COVID. So there's plenty of Allen Hurns today, the wide receiver, got hurt a couple of years ago with Dallas. He's probably not 100% yet, right? And if he goes out there and continues to show he's not 100%, he's a 2 or 3 wide receiver on every team. Suddenly he becomes a 4 or 5 wide receiver on every team. Well, this gives him a chance to get the extra year of rest, get the workouts in, get himself back on the field, and show that he might be a legitimate 2 or 3 receiver instead of falling down the depth chart.
I fully agree. So the radio was talking about this in my local area at one point. The reality, and Nick, let me know if you're good. I can see you there. The reality is 100% if you're on the bubble, you're not – like the roster bubble, you're not going to not opt out.
Correct.
Because if you get cut, you're not making that $150,000. If you choose to opt out, you at least make $150,000.
Correct. Yeah, there's a lot of financial incentives like that. And then, again, because it also then affects you going forward, right? Because if you get cut – then there's not going to be practice squads and stuff like that this year. They don't have a set system like the MLB is doing where they have the taxi squad, right, of another 30 guys sitting somewhere else, still practicing. So if you're on that bubble, they're going to take a rookie undrafted free agent and give him a chance versus some, 35-year-old linebacker, let's say, who could get easily injured or is just past his prime. They're going to give the young guy an opportunity.
So that I fully agree with. I do believe that – I'm going to bring this up real quick because my mind's going 100 miles per hour. Heather, well, thank you for watching, Heather. I know she was on the baseball show last night, wasn't she?
Heather has been on my show on Sunday. This last Sunday, she was on the show yesterday and again today. So, Heather, thanks for hanging out with us 3 days in a row.
Appreciate you. I think they should cancel it. It is hard to social distance, and you are going to have contact with each other no matter what. Why risk players' health, and will Tom Brady add another year to his contract if he doesn't play this year? So it's my understanding that if you do opt out, you get another year tacked on in the NFL to your contract. Is that correct?
That's my understanding.
Okay, so we have the same understanding. So let's say now if they cancel the season, then they're going to pull the same stunt that the MLBPA pulled, and the season's just going to count.
It's going to count, right?
With that, we look at something as simple as Tom Brady's decision on another year wouldn't be in his own hands either way.
No.
He signed a 2-year deal. He's getting that 2 years one way or another. It's a matter of, is it 2 years starting this year and next year, or is it 2 years next year and the year after?
Right. It's this whole thing is very difficult. And Heather, I fully understand, and I understand where you're coming from about canceling, especially with the difficulty in social distancing. The big thing is, in my opinion, and we don't get political, and I'm no doctor by any means, right? I'm not a doctor. But when it comes to these things, the big part is if anybody watched, if anybody's on Instagram, ESPN posted a video where the Broncos players went through this tunnel where they're getting disinfected as they're walking out onto the field, right? So they're taking some precautions. So if they can eliminate these players from having it, and while it's not a true bubble, then it's on the players to then make sure they're not doing anything crazy like the Marlins and the Cardinals did in the MLB. If they can eliminate it from within, then it should be safe enough, knock on wood. And again, I'm not a doctor, do not take this as medical advice, but they should be able to be safe enough to play. And again, we are seeing less effects on players that are in great shape. No, there are some players that are still getting sick from it, and I'm not taking it lightly. But yet, if we can eliminate it on field and then the players can hold themselves accountable, there is a very good possibility of getting through this season without any major problems. And again, that's an opinion. I'm no doctor. I haven't done the research, just based on what I'm seeing that other teams are doing. And Jake ran away.
So we were talking about the COVID opt-outs, right? That's what.
Yeah, if you look at Heather's comment there on the talk about canceling it because of the difficulties with social distancing and making lots of contact with other players.
Yeah. Okay. So I think it not being how do I word this? So I believe that there's a lot of these guys that have deep concern about the welfare of their home life and stuff like that. And I think it's fair to give those guys the opportunity to give them a chance to opt out and, and this gives another player, one of these unknown young guys a chance to get up there and shine. So I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I have no problem with any of the players opting out, especially if they have, some sort of medical concern. One thing we just saw with Matthew Stafford being put on the COVID list, right? His wife just beat cancer, right? And especially while Matthew Stafford may be at a low risk, he's in shape, he's healthy, he's young. His wife is very high risk because she's coming off of cancer and she's got the issues with her immune system. So if he were to choose to opt out, I definitely wouldn't. I wouldn't blame any of them. But you couldn't even say a word to a guy like that, right? And he would be the most justified in his reasons for doing so. But other players, I mean. They don't have to explain themselves to us as regular citizens. If I wanted to just walk away from my job because I was concerned, well, then so be it. And I reap the repercussions, the fallout from it. I may not have a paycheck, right? I may not have a job when this all ends. And they're the same way, right? They're going to get paid something. That's the difference. But at the same time, they're going to lose their on-field time. So unless you're a star, you're probably going to lose out on an opportunity and have to reprove yourself. So they do have something on the line, even with opting out.
Right. I totally agree with that. Jake just messaged me and said that where he's at is being hit by a hurricane and that he's lost power. So,
oh my goodness, yeah, I just saw the message from him as well. That's crazy.
That's right. Everything's all right. So we'll just keep rolling with the punches here. I know I'm showing up late. Sorry, I was having some kind of audio issues there for a second, but we're all good. So what else was on the docket? What else did we talk about?
We really had only gotten as far as talking about the COVID side of things and how that's going to affect the teams and that sort of thing. That's really as far as we had gotten, and hadn't really delved into what we expect from the season. Or I don't know what you guys had planned. I jumped on waiting for you to get in, so I know Jake maybe had a plan, but
my anticipation for the season is we're going to run into the same kind of issues with the NFL that we're seeing currently with the MLB.
I 100% agree.
I think we're going to run into it even more just because I feel like an NFL football team, an organization, is a lot bigger than a baseball organization. There's a lot more personnel. There's a lot more. Obviously MLB can be a contact sport, but football being as contact as it is,
as it gets, it's as big as it gets.
A huge uptick in this.
Baseball only gets intense when someone's running a guy over the plate, and they eliminated that a few years ago. In football, you got 300-pound dudes slamming into each other every single play. So it's definitely a very much more difficult situation. And what thing we had mentioned before, and let me know what you think about this, is we talked about the fact that the NFL season probably will start. Will they finish will be based on how the MLB handles the current situations with the Marlins, with the Cardinals, those types of things. They seem to be getting better about it, but a lot of it still comes down to the guys. Now, I think Rob Manfred is an absolute disaster of a commissioner, but the players have to hold themselves accountable, and it's going to be more important even in football. Here's the difference: basketball has 15 guys on a roster, right? So they did a bubble. Baseball has 30 plus another 30 on the taxi squad. Now football is going to have, traditionally has a 52-man roster, right? And so now you're talking almost double again. So it would be very difficult to do so. And it's unlike basketball where you can set up a court. I mean, they set it up inside of a giant conference hall, right? You can't do that in football. You can't just lay grass out inside of Disney's arena, right? It just doesn't work that way. And you can't play the same game 100 times over on the same field. The field will not hold up and it becomes dangerous for players. So when everybody says, hey, they need to do a bubble, it's just not as feasible. Is it possible? Sure. Find a place with some field turf instead. But it's a logistical nightmare for that many teams. 32 teams trying to run on 1 to 3 different fields is not going to work in that way.
Well, and we can discuss it here just to play devil's advocate. How hard is it for we were talking about how we have a double-sized roster for 52 men. Well, you have 32 teams versus an NBA or an NHL where the rosters are smaller. How hard would it be to contain people on the NFL side in a bubble?
It's not going to happen. It just isn't. The NBA had trouble keeping even just a few guys from leaving. The MLB is having troubles without a bubble. It isn't something that you're probably going to see happen, unfortunately. It looks like we might be getting Jake back. Let's add him.
Awesome.
Are you alive?
So,
is the hurricane
yeah, as you can see, the hair, everything just went wild. So did it just kick me as host and put you as host?
Yeah, it made one of us host. Brandon says, tell that to Nolan Ryan and Robin Ventura. Too funny. They did make it a contact sport.
Don't mind me. So what ended up happening right there, I went to get back on, and I lost power a second time. So,
nice.
Yeah, the remnant of that hurricane is hitting me right now up in New England, but the hurricane, the tornado part of it itself is supposed to go just west of me.
Okay, that's good.
Normally, I don't lose power because I'm literally right next to the power lines.
Today, that was a problem.
Yeah, today they decided, all right, we're going to cut your power. So if it happens again, it happens again. There's nothing we can really do about it.
Yep.
So if I just abruptly disappear, that's why. Now let's get back on subject. I want to talk some football.
So where we left off is we've still continued talking about what Heather's comment was, right? We've been discussing the difficulties between football and basketball and what you could do with a bubble and why you can't. And you got 15 guys on a basketball roster, you got 30 on an MLB, and you got 52 on an NFL team, and it's going to come down to players being responsible for themselves and holding each other accountable in order to get through a full season. And that's kind of catchy. We've been kind of going through some of that.
Like Brandon's comment here, they could split up 32 teams into 4 groups in a bubble for a month in cities. Then the next month, regroup and use different cities.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. It's doable.
Yeah.
But it's not easy.
It's not easy. So you got a lot of young guys, just like we've seen in the NBA, where the young guys are going out and getting chicken wings and, going outside the bubble. They're young guys. They're millionaires. They want to spend their money. They want to be outside the bubble. You have a higher percentage of that, I think, in the NFL than in the NBA, where I feel like there's going to be even more risk.
Didn't the NFL just add in an amendment on if you go to a strip club outside of – didn't they just add in some sort of punishment for that?
I didn't see that, but I think you should be held accountable for your actions when it comes to other people's safety and health in this.
They've come together on some agreement, but I didn't have a chance to read it fully. But yeah, they did come to some agreement in relation to this. They moved the opt-out date to Thursday, and then they changed some of the agreements on in-season accountability and some of the testing requirements and how quickly you can return. So yeah, they just put out a release on that. I think it was about an hour or two ago that they just released that. So.
Well, we'll dive into it for next week. Find out exactly what's going on. My name's not Jack, Brandon. What the? Come on.
By the way,
how long have we known each other here?
So, by the way, since we thanked Heather for joining in, Brandon has been was on my show on Sunday as well. He was with us in baseball last night, and again, so we got at least 2 people joining in with us for each of the shows so far already this week. So we got some good fans rolling through. Now he's got you.
Yes.
Brandon's also with us weekly on our wrestling show. So
That's right. Yeah, he harassed me the other night, going, "This isn't our wrestling show."
I think Brandon likes wrestling.
That's a good thing.
Now, if the season does make it all the way through, I want to talk rookies real quick. Let's move away from coronavirus. We all know it's going to happen. We all know things are going to happen. Now, barring any injuries and barring any complications with coronavirus, who wins Rookie of the Year?
Woo! Oh, that's a tough one.
So for me,
I'm putting you on the spot.
I personally can't, attest to any. I don't really watch college football that often. So
Okay.
I pay attention to the Washington teams, and I don't pay attention to the college sports. So I can't really talk too much about the rookies coming in. I would like to see maybe 2-3 weeks of play from them to try and see where the level of skill for these rookies is at.
So if I had to throw a guess out there, right, the way I look at it this early, because I'm the same way, I'm not as big of a college fan. I like the bowls, the bowl championship type stuff. I like it toward the end of the season. I don't watch every single game except for I'm from Wisconsin, so I watch the Badgers, right? But I keep tabs on it, and I start to look for who's going to make the most effect. So you instantly think of, here, I'm going to click on it. Martin's got 2 great names, right? Joe Burrow and Chase Young seem like very easy options, right? But it's almost never the easy option, right? You look at Kyler Murray, he had a lot of opportunity and he ended up doing it, but he wouldn't have been my guess for it, right? So you look at I think in the draft we just had, I think there's 3 players that have 4 players that probably have a chance to stand out. And you look at a guy like Judy in Denver, right? They need a wide receiver. You got Drew Lock. You bring in Melvin Gordon to be a complimentary back to Phillip Lindsay. And so he now has this opportunity to be massively important in that offense. So you got a guy like Jerry Jeudy that could be it. You could argue that my helmet right here of CeeDee Lamb could, but they got a ton of weapons in Dallas. But look at a guy like Jefferson in Minnesota.
There we go.
Diggs leaving, right? That's a huge spot. You got Adam Thielen on one side, and now you got Jefferson on the other. That's a lot of opportunity for him. And then if you want to go just dig a little deeper, you look at a guy that now his role just jumped probably 3 times as many carries as before, and Edward Hellier, the running back in Kansas City. Well, you got a great quarterback, obviously. You got great wide receivers. You got one of the best tight ends in the game. So if you're spending a lot of time focusing on the wide receivers, this quarterback is dangerous enough to give that running back catches out of the backfield and hand the ball off, and he has a chance to make a great impact. I see a guy like Edward Hellier ended up being the Rookie of the Year if I had to throw my guess out right now.
Okay, so I'm a huge fan of Justin Jefferson. I loved watching him. And I love the fact that he went to Minnesota to replace Diggs, because I think he is going to be better than Diggs.
Has the opportunity to be, absolutely.
Now, I don't see a wide receiver winning Rookie of the Year.
It would be tough to. You'd have to do some spectacular things to be that.
Short of a 2,000-yard season?
Here we go.
Hey,
I found
the
odds.
There you go.
So we have, obviously, Burrow number 1. That's almost the easy way out. The only problem with that is I don't think Burrow's going to have a good year 1. That offensive line is horrendous.
And he's got no time with the team. He's got no practice time. He's got no prep time. He's got no chance to create continuity with his wide receivers, with his offensive line, with his head coach. You need that as a quarterback.
This is not the year for the rookie quarterback.
No.
No matter who you are, where you are, what your situation is, the rookie quarterbacks are screwed this year. So we'll move out of Burrow. We'll move out of Tua. Now let's go to the running backs. You have Jonathan Taylor in Indianapolis in 4th there, and Edwards-Helaire right there in 2nd. Kansas City, honestly, I think they're just too good to have a running back really make waves.
Yeah.
But see, that's where the trap becomes in is, the wide receivers don't have a good opportunity to be Rookie of the Year this year. The quarterbacks don't have a good opportunity. So you find a team that is an established team, and then where a rookie can come in and play a key role. That's why I'm going that direction with him winning it, because you don't have to worry about a lot of time to get to know the team. You got Patrick Mahomes. You got Andy Reid, right? You got Tyreek Hill. So that's why I'm going that direction. And Jonathan Taylor, I'm a Wisconsin guy.
Down for a second.
I love him, but he's not going to get enough carries.
Check this out. It says, among the 53 Offensive Rookie of the Year award winners, 38 of them were drafted in the first round. So how many of these guys in the
Every single one of them is a first-round pick, except I think J.K. Dobbins was second round.
Okay.
Yeah, this is all first round.
Dobbins is an interesting one, though, because look at that offense in Baltimore. And that is actually a perfect setup for a guy like J.K. Dobbins to get an extreme amount of opportunities versus a lot of other places. So he is another guy that should be thought of as a very strong candidate for that. And like I said, you mentioned Jonathan Taylor. I love the guy. I'm a Wisconsin Badgers fan. I love that guy to death. But the problem he has is he wasn't even a 3-down back in Wisconsin for most of his career. He doesn't have great hands. He fumbles a little bit. So my thought with Jonathan Taylor is he's going to be a second half Rookie of the Year, right? But he's not going to get as many opportunities at the beginning. It's going to be split with him and Marlon Mack. And then, barring Marlon Mack getting hurt, which he very well could, he seems to every year, he's not going to get as many carries until the season goes on. So I would pick him as like a second half MVP, but not likely to be a full season MVP.
I saw Keyshawn Vaughn on there.
What's that?
Yeah, I saw Keyshawn Vaughn on that list. He was about halfway down. Tampa Bay running back. That's all cool. You're going to go back to it? Yeah, okay. Keyshawn Vaughn right there. They just signed Shady McCoy. So
yeah.
Do you got a date on that article? Odds taken July
30th. It was posted 6 days ago.
All right, so if I'm looking at this list right in front of us right now, I'm taking all the wide receivers off of the board. I don't think a single wide receiver is going to win it. Which leaves us with the running backs, as we already talked about our quarterback situation. The running back is probably one of the easiest positions to learn in football. You just find the hole. That's it.
Worst case scenario, the quarterback tells you where to run before the play starts, right?
You literally cannot screw this up. You just have to be able to run. So, Edwards-Helaire, I think he's going to be overshadowed in that offense by everybody else.
Very easily.
Jonathan Taylor in Indianapolis, I like it. DeAndre Swift in Detroit could potentially be the literal game changer of that team. When they came up and drafted him, nobody expected it.
No, not at all.
So I want to discuss Cam Akers. There's a 500 point jump here in the odds. They just didn't they just let Todd Gurley go?
Yeah, he's in Atlanta now.
Yeah, so who's the running back that's going to make the waves in Los Angeles?
Probably
Akers.
So I think this is a pretty good option for me, in my opinion.
There's a good chance there. They're very balanced teams, right? So he's going to get plenty of touches.
I think Akers' big problem is that Jared Goff is still the quarterback. Jared Goff is the biggest fluke of a Super Bowl competing quarterback in the last 10 years. And Joe Flacco was still in that 10 years. So let's remember that, guys.
Well, and there's a reason why he couldn't seal the deal, right? He's a quality quarterback. He's good, but he's not great, and that's why he couldn't win the game. I would take him over a lot of guys in the league. But, yes, he's not the kind of quarterback that is dangerous enough to really make the running back a great running back, right, or give him that ability for them to not just lock down on a running back.
Right.
You don't have a Lamar Jackson's wheels. You don't have Patrick Mahomes' escapability and ability to throw on the run. You don't have Aaron Rodgers' arm. He's a good quarterback. He's a smart guy, but he just isn't as physically gifted to give him the opportunities.
Has Jameis Winston signed yet anywhere?
Yeah. Yes, Jameis Winston is the number 2 QB with New Orleans. Technically, Taysom Hill is the third stringer, and if Breeze gets hurt, it would be Winston that would be the starter.
I like it. So I have this firm belief that Winston, in almost any other system in the sport, would be a much better quarterback.
you're not wrong.
All he needs is better decision making, and Bruce Arians doesn't teach his quarterbacks good decision making. Carson Palmer, I'm talking about you.
Okay. I don't see a system in the league that Jameis Winston couldn't go in there and absolutely dominate better than what he did. I mean, 40 interceptions is a lot. It's a lot. But 40 touchdowns isn't anything to not raise an eyebrow at. With,
what was it, 5,200 yards?
As a weapon.
Yeah, it was over 5,000 yards, and he was a 30-30 guy, 30 touchdowns, 30 interceptions.
Oh, it was 30. I thought it was 30. 40.
40
yeah,
would have been
30.
just blowing away the record for interceptions. I wanted to see him go sign as a bet, and I don't like this team, but I would like to have seen him sign with Pittsburgh.
Chicago. Oh, okay.
Pittsburgh. Ben Roethlisberger is always hurt. They always. I mean, look at the Mason Rudolph. I mean, his head is dented, right? He's not going to be a quarterback for them long run. And I would have seen him as an opportunity there. He's likely to play minimum 3 games, maximum 12 games, right? You just never know with Ben. They talked about he had to have surgery to repair torn tendons last year. And, right. That doesn't always come back as strong as you hope for it to be. So there's a good chance he's done. There's a good chance he'll get hurt again, and then his career is over. I would see that as an opportunity. Mike Tomlin is an intelligent guy. He's not the greatest coach in the league. He's gotten a little complacent. I think he'd be a better coach in with another team, just kind of getting a fresh start. But he's a good coach, right? It's a good team, and they got some playmakers on the team. I would have liked to see Winston and Juju Smith would have been fun to watch together.
Oh,
I think Winston would have done well in the Carolina system with Matt Rule.
I would agree, absolutely. And now Bridgewater gets to show what he's got with a solid team and a great running back there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
McCaffrey
hands down have any kind of a quarterback, and I think that guy's just going to dominate from behind the field.
Well, and that's the thing. You give a running back. Okay, look at Dallas Cowboys, right? Dak Prescott is a good quarterback. Ezekiel Elliott made him even better. You take a quarterback like Teddy Bridgewater, all the talent in the world. He's finally healthy, and you give him Christian McCaffrey. It's going to make him significantly better, right? Look what he even did with Alvin Kamara, right? He was injured half the time, and he still produced for them. So you give him a healthy Christian McCaffrey. You got some decent wide receivers in Carolina there, and it's a good spot for Teddy Bridgewater. It would have been good for Jameis Winston as well.
Carolina is going to be the 2020 Tennessee Titans.
You think so?
Yeah. Well, think about it. The Tennessee Titans have Ryan Tannehill as quarterback, and we all know Ryan Tannehill is not a good quarterback. Teddy Bridgewater, he's an all-right quarterback. The Saints system will make anybody look good. You could throw me in there, and I'd look like one of the top QBs in the league. Now, hey.
I can't say anything. You're the boss. But I get what you're saying. They have an incredible coach who makes a system that isn't solely reliant on the fact that Drew Brees has to be Drew Brees, right? Now, there's no questioning Drew Brees is better than Teddy Bridgewater, but they were able to have a system where they could then adjust a little bit to Teddy's strengths and still be very solid. You had a good run game. You have a great wide receiver in Michael Thomas, and they were still able to flourish, right? Same thing, like you said, with Carolina. This is a great opportunity. They have a great running back. They got a good system, and you give a guy like him some time, and I think he would do well. He's going to do well there as well.
We have 2 very good comments here. So let's bring up Martin's first. I don't know who has that access here. There we go. Winston going to New Orleans is the perfect option guy for him. Winston gets to sit and learn from Drew Brees, one of the best QBs to play the game, and he is still young enough to be the Saints QB once Drew retires. Also, I agree with Gavin. Pittsburgh would have been great for Winston. Now, remember, Winston's on a 1-year deal. I believe Brees just signed another 2-year, $50 million.
I believe it was a 2-year deal. Yes, I don't remember the money, but it was a 2-year deal.
So I don't understand why these old quarterbacks keep signing 2-year deals when we all know they're going to retire eventually. Brady, I'm looking at you as well. He also signed a 2-year deal. So I don't think Winston is going to so much replace, because I think Taysom Hill is the next guy in New Orleans.
He's got
pretty much made that clear. They're going to do a lot of read option kind of stuff with two QBs on the field, and Winston just happens to be the perfect guy for that. They're taking the workload off of Brees.
I wonder how much his accuracy is going to start to either, go on a rise because of, hanging around Drew Brees for 2 years, if he stays for 2 years, if he doesn't retire, how much that's going to improve Jameis Winston's QB IQ.
It's going to make a big difference. And then to top it all off, you take a guy like Sean Payton, who can then work with him and help develop him as a quarterback. Sean Payton is incredibly successful. He was successful with Drew Brees. He's been successful with Teddy Bridgewater, and he's even had success with Taysom Hill. So if somebody like a Sean Payton wants to invest the time and teach him how to be a more accurate thrower, and then like you talked about, use Drew Brees to become a more intelligent quarterback, that is where he made the bad decisions is what bit him. The interceptions were generally bad decisions. You get some dumb luck of it tips off a wide receiver's hands and it counts, and it's not really his fault. But for the most part, his bad decisions led to those interceptions.
It was 5. I watched the video. 5 interceptions of his were tipped. All 25 others were straight horrible decisions.
And interceptions are going to happen, but when you throw the same number as you do touchdowns, that's the bad part. And he's obviously got a ton of talent because he threw for 5,000 yards. He still threw for 30 touchdowns, but he doesn't have the, he wants to be the gunslinger like Brett Favre, but he doesn't have quite the same the on-field IQ like you were talking about. Drew Brees can, if he wants to, if he spends the time, he will be able to help him increase his on-field IQ, and that will eliminate that. And this might be everybody's like, oh, he deserves to be a starter somewhere. And he very well may deserve to be a starter, but this is going to be his chance to take that step back, right? Who's done this in business? I have, right? You're a manager, right? And you want to progress your career. You take that step back, or you take a lateral move somewhere to gain some knowledge, and then you propel yourself forward. And I see this as the same opportunity for Jameis Winston to take that step back, right, and propel himself to be a better QB long term.
Going back to that read option, when you look at it, what you're really going to see is they're going to use Jameis Winston in that read option for something short, quick, and just getting him accuracy. Where when they want to go deep to Michael Thomas, you're going to see Drew Brees bomb the ball downfield.
Right,
you take reps off of Brees, and you take pressure off of Winston. It's the perfect situation. And then you still have Taysom Hill. You have 3 sustainable quarterbacks in that offense.
And it will still allow Hill to be used in different ways, right? He can be used as a running back. He can be used as the second QB. He can be used as a tight end, and in ways that he is just indispensable. And as a Packer fan, being here in Wisconsin, it makes me sick that they let him go these years ago. Now they got Jordan Love, I know that, but man, to have Taysom Hill as the guy sitting behind Aaron Rodgers would have been some really nice peace of mind up here in Wisconsin.
All right, bring up Brandon's Minnesota comment, the first one.
Gotcha.
Brandon, first things, Brandon, are you a Minnesota Vikings fan? I want to know that right now. Number 2, Minnesota was dumb to give up on Teddy. Let me tell you why you're wrong. Minnesota made a very critical move in let's call it the history of the Vikings in the past 10 years. The last time they had a really sustainable quarterback that could do what Kirk Cousins does, who, by the way, has actually been one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the league over the past 3 years.
He's just not clutch.
Which is why he got paid. He's not clutch. No, he's definitely not clutch. Neither is Teddy Bridgewater.
Neither was Tony Romo. Neither is Dak Prescott.
That's the thing. I will take Kirk Cousins getting me, as a business owner, owning a football team, I will take Kirk Cousins getting me to the playoffs and getting me to have players want to play for my team because we do get to the playoffs, rather than Teddy Bridgewater, who's still an unknown.
The other thing about Teddy Bridgewater is you didn't know at the time when they had to make the decision of pay him or let him go if he was going to be able to return to the field. There was no way to know for sure if he was going to be healthy. And thankfully, for himself and for the league, he is healthy and he's back out there doing well. But you didn't know. There was no way to know. No medical professional would put their career on the line over saying, keep him, he's going to be fine. And that's the other side of it is, do you bury the money in a maybe, or do you go after the current sure thing?
Yeah, so I was going to actually bring up Dante Culpepper exactly like Brandon was saying. I honestly, outside of Brett Favre, but Brett Favre probably shouldn't have been playing as long as he did when he was playing with the Vikings.
100%.
But Brett Favre was still consistent. But Brett Favre was still consistent.
Outside of that, and maybe didn't Donovan McNabb have a stint with the Vikings for a little bit?
The Vikings,
Outside
he was
of
with
those
Washington.
two guys, I don't think Dante Culpepper, nobody has been a quarterback that has been sustainable for Minnesota since Dante Culpepper.
You didn't like Christian Ponder?
I was not a fan of Christian Ponder, man.
Kirk Cousins just got repaid with a new contract because he's been one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the league over the past 3 years.
Right.
And
Yeah, the guy puts
he
up
gets to
numbers.
the playoffs or gets to
and Tavares Jackson on that list.
Oh, there you go. Tavares Jackson. Now, Heather brings up a good question, and I know, Jake, you're going to like this one. How would you rate Cam Newton as a quarterback? Do you see him like an Aaron Rodgers type player? Do you see him being a good fit for the Patriots for the next? And there's 2 parts here. How do you rate him versus an Aaron Rodgers? And do you see him as a good fit for the Patriots?
I want to touch this one before Jake goes.
All right, so okay, hold on. First off, I'm the Patriots fan, which is why we're going to do it this way. Nick wants to touch this before the Patriots fan. Okay, go ahead, shoot.
Okay, so Cam Newton is a great quarterback, okay? He's a really good quarterback. But I don't think it matters on who the quarterback is so much as long as Bill Belichick is still the head coach. He will make it work. And I'll just leave it at that.
You're not wrong.
Bill Belichick will make it work.
Matt Castle, Drew Bledsoe.
Yeah, go for it, man.
I agree.
Okay, Drew Bledsoe was a very good quarterback.
I know, he came to Dallas afterwards, and then he got Bledsoe. He got Brady and Bledsoe, or whatever you want to call it, for when Romo came in. But Cam Newton is a very gifted athlete. He's an incredible physical specimen, and he's a lot smarter than people want to give him credit for. He tends to get a little bit kind of hyped up under the gun, and that's where he doesn't have the accuracy on the long throws. A guy like Bill Belichick is going to take any player and get the best out of them. So you take a guy who's already insanely gifted, put him with Bill Belichick, and he's going to find a way to make Cam Newton into the quarterback we all hoped he's going to be. Now, the question is, can he still stay healthy? Is he a long-term fit? Is a better question than is if he fit. Bill Belichick could make anybody fit. He could make Brett Favre fit at his old age and make him fit in that organization right now. So Cam Newton is great. He's going to be just fine. I don't think he's sustainable. I don't think they want him to be sustainable in that program. I think they want to win a few games and move on for Trevor Lawrence. That's my opinion. But the other question is he an Aaron Rodgers type player? Not a chance. Not even anywhere close. Aaron Rodgers is a different style of quarterback. He's got the ability to scramble and the ability to escape. He's great throwing on the run, and he's got a cannon for an arm. The difference is Aaron Rodgers, outside of the last year and a half, he's had a little bit of struggle. He's way more of a consistent thrower. He's got way more accuracy, and his ability on the field is his arm and his brain more than his physical ability. Cam Newton will gain, I think, after working with Bill Belichick, he'll gain that on-field IQ, much like we talked about with Jameis Winston. If you get him with someone who invests in them and teaches them everybody, it just seems like they've gone to Cam Newton and go, you're a physical beast, just get out there and do your thing, right? Belichick's going to go, no, you're going to do it my way, right? And that's going to make Cam a better player. And it's going to make him more Rodgers-like, but he is not Aaron Rodgers and never will be.
Cam Newton will not be in New England in 3 years. I don't think he'll be in New England in 3 years.
He'll make it this year. Somebody else will sign him, and then they'll bring somebody else into New England. All right.
Now, are you all ready?
Yeah.
So do we delay this on Jake? Because he's like, you can see him like just festering over there. But no, I'll let it go. Go ahead, Jake.
All right. Here we go. So, Cam Newton to New England. I think it is a great move. He will not be in New England past this season.
No.
He's here for a one and done.
Yep.
Now, let me tell you why I think it's a great move. Because Cam Newton learned something that RG3 never learned. Cam Newton learned something that every other running quarterback that's lasted 1 year, like Johnny Manziel, never learned. He learned he cannot just run the ball all willy-nilly. Lamar Jackson's going to learn this soon. He learned he has to learn to throw the ball. He learned it in Carolina. It didn't take him until coming to New England to learn it. He learned it. He knows it. And now Belichick is going to work with it.
Right.
Because he can cannon the ball downfield. He can throw that ball further than Brady can. Brady
yeah,
struggles
Brady's
going
smart.
anywhere past 45 yards. Hey, Brady after 45 yards was one of the most inaccurate quarterbacks I've ever seen. Newton past 45 yards is probably in the top 5 in the league in accuracy.
Thinking dunk.
Aaron Rodgers is obviously number 1. Now, Belichick, yeah, we can play he gets the best out of everybody. And you can tell me right now, like you just said, you think they're tanking for Trevor.
I do.
It makes sense until they signed Cam Newton. If they had rolled with Jarrett Stidham, I'd fully agree with you. Because that's a 2-14 season waiting to happen.
True.
Cam Newton on that offense is at least a 6-8 team. And you do not get Trevor Lawrence on a 6-8 record. 6-10. Sorry, my bad. Math in my head going fast. I don't do math in public. Yes,
You don't think the defense could salvage a 6-game or a 6-win season?
They don't have
now
anybody
that
left on
Hightower
the
and
defense.
Chung, Hightower's gone. Chung is gone.
Oh,
The
yeah, I
number one
forgot about all them
offensive lineman,
opting
Marcus
out.
Cannon opt out.
They have no
So-
offensive line anymore. They have no defense that left anymore. You lost
Yeah, I forgot
9
about
players. Marquise Lee, I know he's not a difference maker, but it's another wide receiver that they don't have.
Yep.
So I understand what you're saying, and it was a little puzzling to me. It's like either they think they can win now, or you roll with Stidham, right? And at the same time, it's like, do you bring Cam in? And is Belichick the mastermind? He is saying, okay, if we go after Trevor Lawrence and we have Stidham, and Cam Newton gets his ass whooped this year, we still have the other 2 to figure out which one's going to be our QB of the future. And then the other one, he does what he did with Garoppolo and those guys, and he trades the other, right? So Cam is more of an insurance policy. Maybe this is just all hypothetical. Cam is an insurance policy. He's disposable. He knows he's not going to have him past the 1 year unless he wins MVP and they win a Super Bowl, which just isn't going to happen. So he's got Cam for 1 year. He's off the table. You got 2 good QBs sitting out there. And then they figure out which one's the right guy, trade the other one for a king's ransom. And Bill Belichick, again, looks like a freaking genius when we all still hate him.
I don't see it happening.
Cam Newton signing with New England proves that Bill Belichick doesn't trust Jarrett Stidham yet.
True.
I agree with that.
Absolutely.
So it's not going to happen. I don't see it happening, but I like to speculate just for, conversation. So if the Patriots go and win 9 games this season and make the playoffs, is Cam Newton still around next year?
No.
They have to win a Super Bowl for him to be around next year.
You think so?
Absolutely.
Look at Randy Moss. He had a phenomenal season. They went 16-0, lost in the Super Bowl, and they still traded him 6 games into the next season.
Martin says, as a Patriots fan, I love the move, and I'm with Jake here. If we stuck with Stid, I would have said we were going to tank this year, but now that with Cam, I think the team can win 8 to 10 games.
I don't think they win the AFC East no matter what. That is Buffalo's division to lose.
100%.
Josh Allen might turn into the quarterback of the future. He's also still young.
Careful, Santa, because a lot of people last year jumped on the Josh Allen train of him being elite. The word elite jumped out in everybody's vocabulary, that Josh Allen was elite, and then he just fell apart at the end of the season. But to your point, he's still young, got a ton of talent. He's another year in that system. I like him. I would like him on my team if he was one of the choices I had. He might be one of my first choices of some of these young quarterbacks. But he did show a lot of signs of struggle at the end of the year, and it could just still be youth. We'll find out. But I would bet on him over several others. But yeah, he's still got a long ways to go.
I think
Brandon, the answer to that question is Oakland.
Buffalo's offensive line kind of crumbling towards the end, and he picked up a bunch of sacks and stuff like that at the end of the year too.
I think that's what it was. I know he had a lot more pressure on him, and he wasn't making the great throws because he didn't have as much time. I don't remember if it was injury or if they just got tired themselves. But yeah, they were not the same offensive line as they were.
There
great
were
example.
injuries riddled in that offense.
Was it injuries on the offensive line?
Yeah.
20 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. I think there's a lot of room to improve. He looked good to me. I know he's a young quarterback. He got a lot of time to get back into this system and hopefully injuries don't riddle their offensive line like it did last year. And
right.
And I wouldn't put him in the elite category yet, but if he was on, if Russell Wilson wasn't here, I would like him on the Seahawks.
Absolutely. 100%.
I also wish Russell Wilson wasn't on the Seahawks.
I do too. Because I tell you what, I like Seattle. My mom lived in Seattle, so she's a Seattle fan actually. And but I can't stand Pete Carroll, right? So I have to root against Seattle because I can't stand Pete Carroll. And being a Wisconsin guy, I love Russell Wilson. This is killing me.
As a former or as a Patriots fan, I hate Pete Carroll with a passion.
As a sports fan, I hate Pete Carroll.
Man, there's nothing better than just seeing her on the sideline.
Better, as long as he's got his shirt still on.
Yeah, I don't need to see that again.
He's no DK Metcalf, that's for sure.
So
DK.
55 minutes.
I was gonna say we have 5 minutes left. 5 minutes for the very first 60-yard dash in GCSM history. We had Gavin. You're over here, Gavin. Gavin over here. Join us on this episode because we had some. It's actually really good that you joined because I ended up getting booted by me losing power.
I got you guys.
This episode turned into a mess and it wasn't in our control. So Gavin is. I did that again. Gavin is from Circus Monkey Sports every Sunday. Make sure you check him out. I'm going to shamelessly plug every show we have real quick. On Mondays, we have the Wind Up Baseball. They did a great job last night. Loved it. Loved them together. I'm so happy I made that decision. And usually Tuesdays will be Nick. Wow, I am horrible. Nick and myself for football and potentially some special guests. We might dive into that, the XFL buying from The Rock tomorrow on the wrestling show.
I love it. I got to cover the Seattle Dragons while the XFL was here last season, and watching this team from being at practices and going to the game and sitting in the press box and getting to cover them the way that I did and get all these interviews and talk to these guys. I was fully invested in the XFL, man. And I thought it was a great opportunity for guys who are young or older trying to get their second chance. And watching this season abruptly end was crushing.
So keep in mind, so we may not have a college football season. We may have a shortened one. It's going to be tougher. And then you're going to have, with less practice squad time and stuff for the NFL, there's going to be a ton of young talent that would normally have that time to create, who they are and then grow into an actual starting role. They're going to lose their ability to play. And this XFL coming back is going to be even bigger because you're going to have an even better young talent pool and you're going to see some great football. So the XFL coming back and with a guy who can promote like no one's business. I love The Rock, right? I'm not even a huge wrestling fan. And I'm wearing The Rock's shirt right now, right? I am wearing the Rock, Project Rock Under Armour gear because I love the guy, right? He is going to take the XFL. Keep in mind, he bought it from his former employer, which is even cooler, right? And he's going to turn that into the next big thing, and it's going to be essentially like a minor league football system, and I think it's going to be better than what we saw.
There we go. You went straight into where I was going to go. I was going to say, do you guys know who the business partners are?
Redbird Capital, and I don't remember who else is involved in it.
His ex-wife. Little weird. Definitely a little weird. Danny Garcia is her name. Little weird that it's his ex-wife. But the important one is, what is it?
Redbird Capital.
Okay, so they have ties with the NFL. Which means this could very well turn into a AAA football league.
Which it should. It absolutely should have that.
I'm okay with that.
I think we're all okay with that. But now, if that's the case, do you need 32 teams?
No.
So how do you
play?
Same player pool, same way that you did it, they were doing with the XFL at the end of the season. Give the guys in their contract the okay to sign up.
Right.
Be on the NFL team.
Yeah, that's
so
going to be
if a team wants to send somebody to development in the XFL, but
you just cut them on the roster, and if they're good enough to get on the XFL team, so they're on the XFL team.
The trouble comes in, let's just say, so Seattle and New England, your two favorite teams, right? So Seattle decides they want to send Russell Wilson's backup down to a team that they're affiliated with send a quarterback down. In the New England sends a quarterback down to a team. So happens they're on the same team, right? Well, now whoever has the best connection with Seattle or New England, their quarterback's going to play and get developed versus the other, right? So that's where the tough part comes in, is how do you separate that? Obviously, in Major League Baseball, when you have a minor league team, it's solely your program, right? You're making decisions based on what's best for your organization. With less than 32 XFL teams, that is going to be a weird maneuvering system. So it's almost tough to be able to send someone down for development versus being able to just pluck them at almost any time. So there's going to have to be a system to figure that out.
All right, so we'll dive more into this next week. We just hit an hour. I didn't plug the hockey or basketball show, so this is my plug of that. Saturday, we have Talk Interference Sports. Sunday, we have Circus Monkey Sports. And we are out of here for the first 60-yard dash. We will see you next week. I don't know who's ending it.